I'm sure we're live already.
Well, we are now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 124 on the 22nd of March, 2017. We got almost everybody here. I think Kernan is out doing something amazing, or I don't know. Actually, he's just not here. So anyways, let's go around and see what's up with everybody. Sorry about my non-video. I know everybody just is looking forward to seeing me, but apparently my bandwidth isn't so great here while I'm on the road. So let's see, picking the top right.
The problem is, Adam, my beard isn't as majestic as yours.
I know, I'm getting sat down. Now that I'm getting it trimmed regularly and I don't look like a hobo, I'm being cut off on the camera. So we'll start in the top right. Marco, how's it going, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Doing good. Just lots and lots of spam. I mean, testing.
Good recovery. Chris, what's up, man?
Doing good. Great to be here on another Hump Day.
Second that. Bradley, how you doing today?
Happy to be here. Got lots of questions already, so I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, I think this morning everyone probably heard. I'm going to let Bradley talk about this a little bit because Bradley's going to be working or sharing some information about the case study. Actually, I'll just kind of hand it over to you, Bradley, if you want to tell people about the LRS case study stuff, and you can tell them about that, and then we can pop some links in there for people if they're interested.
All right. Yeah, sorry, guys. I'm looking at a text file to grab some links that I can drop on the page. All right. So Peter Drew, great developer, a friend of Semantic Mastery. Some links on the page now, guys. He launched LiveRank Sniper. It's been in beta for like a year, no shit. And I've been part of the beta testing group. I like to jump in on every one of Peter Drew's products because they're always really good. And so, anyways, I've been using it on and off again for like about a year, but I haven't used it much. But the launch is obviously happening today. I'm sure you guys have gotten a million emails about it from us as well as many others. But it's a great product. And in fact, we're having a webinar. So I dropped the links on the page, guys. By the way, did we check to make sure the page has got the video right? Let me just double check. Sorry, guys. Yeah, okay, it's good.
Oh, we're good.
So anyways, I dropped the links on the page. But we're having a webinar with him tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern, I believe. Is that correct? I'm looking at, 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Eastern. And it's a great product. And I was originally going to just do 2 projects as a case study as a bonus for anybody that purchases through our link, but knowing 2 wasn't enough apparently. So I've actually got like 4 local case studies and then another one which is a near me case study that I've been working on diligently since Saturday. Literally, I've spent the last 4 days working on these case studies, and I hope to have them 90% complete by the webinar tomorrow. And if not, then we'll just set up a membership site or something or whatever that we can add the additional like remaining content into. But I've done it. It's working really, really well. I absolutely love it. It's a really simple software to use with very little learning curve, and it does what it's supposed to do, and it does it well. And it basically pokes keywords. But what's great about it is it pokes keywords using scheduled live events, which means you don't have to actually stream any videos. So essentially it just creates the live events and then it goes and it pings them to get them indexed. And it's a U-bot, guys. So the bot just runs in the background and it will go schedule the events. It uses spin tags. You can add like geo coordinates, like the location meta tags, that kind of stuff. Tags. I think I mentioned spin tags already, but you can schedule, like you can add unlimited accounts, YouTube accounts to the software, which means you can, I think Peter says it does 15 live events per persona or per account that's added to the software. But I've been testing it heavily over the last few days, and I've seen it go up to as much as 25. So I'm not sure what that, I'm not sure exactly what the number is. But the point is that it goes out and schedules all these events, and then it pings them, and then it'll go and then anyone that lands on page 1 or 2 of the indexed scheduled events, then it will put them into a text file. And then you can actually use the software to stream a pre-recorded video directly to that live event if you'd like. Or you can just delete everything and you know which keywords are going to rank because it's just like any other poking software in that respect. But I like it because it doesn't require any video uploads at all, but you can use it for money channels, which is what one of the sites in the case studies that I'm working on, or one of the YouTube channels, is an actual money channel. And I didn't see any reason. Like, I mean, I've used about 25 different YouTube channels in the last 4 days, like, because I've got like batches of 5. I've got one group of 7 channels, and then all the other groups are 5 channels per campaign, essentially. And that allows me to do up to 75 videos in one round. And so it's really amazing. I really like the software a lot. I've been using it real heavy the last few days, and I can see that becoming more and more of a part of my normal strategy. Once poking has been done and I've identified keywords, depending on how I set the campaign up originally, I may do that through the money channel so that I can just stream pre-recorded videos. That works great for client channels, guys, because if you've got good videos from clients that can be ranked using live streams, then that's a great way to do it. Because remember, you can take the same video and live stream it over and over again, and it's going to be unique file every time. I don't recommend it that way, but it's you know, if you've got decent quality videos anyways, then it wouldn't really be considered spam, in my opinion, unless your competitors complain about it. But other than that, you know, if you want to test keywords, it does it very quickly. You don't have to worry about any videos, and then you can go back through. If you're using like persona channels, for example, you can go back through, delete everything, but you'll have a record of what ranked, and then you can use other software or other programs or whatever you want to actually upload or publish the videos for those keywords. So it's entirely up to you, but I've been working on it heavily for the last few days, and it's called Live Rank Sniper, Scott. I just saw your question come in, or your comment. But yeah, it's really, really cool. And again, we're going to be on a webinar with Peter tomorrow night, and anybody that purchased through our link is going to get access to the case study details that I'm going to be sharing. So check it out. Okay.
Yeah, awesome. By all means, go sign up for the webinar. Check it out. It's one of those, you know, obviously we don't tell people to buy stuff that they're not going to use, but come check out the webinar. See if it's something you can put in your toolbox.
Yeah.
I have an announcement, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be doing another webinar. Another one of those just super secret, spicy hot sauce type shit webinars where I tend to give the farm away. So if people want to learn more about the knowledge graph, the knowledge panel, rank brain, how you can even train the bot to see whatever you want it to see, talk about ambiguity and complexity, and get some more of my secrets. I mean, it's being set up. We don't have the webinar page ready yet. As soon as we have it ready, we'll mail it out. I'll also post it in our group so that it's available to everyone. Now, here's the caveat, right? This one is going to be offered live only, well, barring technical difficulties. Once it's done, and I'm sorry for those who can't attend live, but if you do not attend live, it goes on pay-per-view. No, I mean, no, we're not going to make any exceptions. There won't be any reason, nothing. It's going into the Marco retirement fund, the pay-per-view, and that's it. So I suggest try to get it live, try to be there. It's going to rock. I'm gonna give everything away that I can, and hope to see you all there. April 3rd, tentative. We will be giving more information during the week, as I said in the groups and email. So just stay tuned.
Yep. Cool. All right.
One more quick one, real quick. Also, next week, we've had a lot of questions about this. And with the RYS stack stuff that you can now get through Search Space, and it's something that we offered for a while, we're going to be explaining more about that, how you can apply it, how you can order it, when to order it, things like that. So that's going to be next week. So if you're interested in that, just keep your eyes open. We'll be it's going to be a short kind of informational webinar about RYS stacks and how you can do that. So that's going to be awesome. So that'll be late next week.
Yeah, that's next Thursday, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we'll be sending out some more info so you can decide if that's something, if you're doing client work or your own stuff, why you would want to do it and what the stuff is we're going to cover in the webinar.
Yeah, okay. All right, and then the last thing, I think, somebody had a question about Live Rank Sniper. Will it work for launch stacking? So yeah, it would probably work really well. I haven't tested it with that yet. I'm testing with some near me keywords, which are national. And it's doing fairly well with that. It's working like crazy for local. For some near me keywords, it's working okay. but I just started really heavy testing it. Last thing about that is, but for launch jacking stuff, because those keywords are new, it will probably perform well, but you'd have to play with it. I suspect it would perform well, but I don't know. So, oh, and one last thing, guys. We started our live stream on a daily basis. We're doing each one of us. Monday is my day. Hernan has Tuesday. I think, Chris, do you have Wednesday?
Chris is being oddly silent now that it's Wednesday.
And I think Adam's got Thursday and Marco's got Friday.
Sorry.
Okay. But we started doing our Facebook live streams, and it's just once Monday through Friday. Each one of us is going to jump on and just do a quick live stream rant about whatever we want to talk about. But I know we talked about this months ago, and we never actually got it started. Well, we started it this week. Monday was the kickoff of that. So if you guys have anything that you would like for us to talk about, this is not a Q&A, like a marketing question and answer, like a how-to. If you have questions about high-level stuff, mindset, strategy, or anything else whatsoever outside of like technical questions, then you can post them at rant.semanticmastery.com. It's 100% anonymous, so we won't even know who's submitting comments or stuff for us to rant about. But anything that you guys would like for us to talk about outside of like technical answers, like how-to stuff, just post there. Again, that's rant.semanticmastery.com. And it's a Google form you can submit anonymously, and then that'll give us stuff that we can, pull from for content for our daily live streams. Okay.
Okay. Then I just want to add that if you're sensitive and you're offended easily and you don't want to cry, then don't be there on Friday when I'm on.
Yeah. Yeah, they're raw, guys. These aren't going to be polished at all. So, like, the occasional cuss word's going to not. In some cases, the frequent cuss word is going to slip, and it's rant mastery. You know what I mean? So if we want to rant about something, we're going to rant, and just know that it's going to be unfiltered. So if you're sensitive to that kind of stuff, just don't watch. That's all. All right. Okay, cool. We're going to go ahead and jump into questions, guys, unless there's something else.
Yeah, let's do this.
Hello.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, finally. It's slow. All right, this is the Rant Mastery page that you'll be taken to, guys. If you go to rant.semanticmastery.com, all you got to do is put in your comment right there and watch this lovely video that has become the motto of Semantic Mastery. All right. That said, let's get into questions. You guys see my screen okay? Hello?
Yeah, good to go. Got your whole screen.
Okay. All right. By the way, Wayne, thanks for that. Frick. All right. I'm not going to say his name because I'm going to screw it up if I do. So first question up is, I have a WooCommerce affiliate site. Is it okay to copy the product description and add a canonical URL tag of the original product page? Does it create any bad impact or issues? Is it okay to copy the product description and add a canonical URL tag of the original product page? Okay, I wouldn't do that. And the reason I say that is because if you add a canonical to the original product page, then Google is basically going to disregard your page, like as far as for ranking purposes, right? Google's going to look at your page and it's going to recognize the canonical is pointed to the original product page, and it's going to pass the credit to there, if that makes sense. So you don't want to canonicalize something to another domain unless you're intentionally trying to push the relevancy to that page, right? Because like canonicals are typically used in within the same domain. You can do cross-domain canonicals, there's no doubt, but there's really no reason to do that unless they're both your domains and you're trying to push credit from one domain to another. But in this case, as an affiliate, you don't want to push the credit to the original product page, because if so, then you're basically passing any authority that you had over to there. Does that make sense? So yeah, again, I wouldn't do that. I would not canonicalize it. You can take the product description. I mean, I don't know what the legalities of that are. I'm not an attorney, but I personally, I just copy the damn product description. I might add a couple lines of text above it or below it to make it somewhat unique. But other than that, I would definitely not canonicalize it. Okay. All right, Dean's up. He says, I'm considering the SEO switchbox strategy. Not sure how to word this, but the question is, with the RSS syndication strategy, how can posts be made on the clone site if the site redirects to the client site when visited? Also, if a post is made, the same post won't be on the client site. It will be on the clone site. So is that just left normal, part of the clone site? All right. I'm not going to even finish reading this question, Dean, just because you're a little bit confused about the process. This has been covered multiple times, and this is something that it would probably be difficult to find on our YouTube channel. But there is something that I did want to point this out for people that are new. If you go to our YouTube channel, guys, so for example, if you just go to YouTube and you search, I'm going to just walk you guys through this. And then, Dean, I'll finish answering your question. Excuse me. Why did I just type that into there? If you just go to Semantic Mastery, right, search it. And then just go to the channel. So click on the channel button. And Dean, I know you probably know this, but this is more for the benefit of new people. If you click this little search icon here, guys, and search, because of all the Hump Day Hangouts, and because we actually have a team that splits up our Hump Day Hangouts into individual questions and answers, a lot of the times some of these questions can be answered just by going to search channel. And so you just type in your query here and hit enter, and then you can kind of look through there. And again, Dean, I'm going to answer your question in just a minute. But the other thing is, guys, remember at the support.semanticmastery site, so support.semanticmastery.com, we have a knowledge base. If you click on that, you'll see that we have by the way, Adam, we need to change that, just as a side note. But yeah, our knowledge base, we have categories here that you can go into and look for frequently asked questions, okay? Because that kind of stuff comes up often. Now, Dean's question isn't really a frequently asked question, so I just wanted to point that stuff out, guys, because as people that are new to us might not know this, and this give you a way to find answers to a lot of common questions, all right? All right, so back to Dean. Dean, when
if I may, before you get into answering his question, I think Dean just joined our mastermind. And if he did, then he's more than welcome to post questions, more advanced questions in the Semantic Mastery Mastermind for webinars, or for us to answer them there. He has more availability to
I know he joined RYS. I didn't know that he joined Mastermind, but that's awesome if he did. Okay. All right. So, Dean, to get back to your question, and I apologize for that. All right. So with the switchbox SEO strategy, or when you're cloning like a client site, I've mentioned this before, but there's certain things that you're not going to do through your domain. Okay. Number one is when you're syndicating content from the client's domain, it's going to be pushed out to the client's branded network, and the backlinks are going to point back to the client's domain. There's really no other way around that. Well, there is one other way around it, which would be to publish the posts on your cloned domain that would go out to their network, and then you'd have to 301 the post URL to the client's post URL, but you'd have to duplicate the post on the client site. So you can see how quickly this gets out of hand. So that's why we don't bother with that. My point is, you can't do the content marketing from your domain, because there's no way, without having to publish the post twice, once on your domain and then once on the client's domain, and then redirect from your domain to the client's your post URL to the client's post URL. And then if the client ever looks at their branded syndication network and they see your domain, that's going to bring up a question, right? And so you can't do that. Remember, the client is paying you for content marketing too, if that's part of your SEO strategy. That is absolutely part of my SEO strategy, right? Content marketing and SEO are one and the same, in my opinion. They go hand in hand. So when I do content marketing, it goes from the client's domain out to the client's network, and there's just no way around that. But that's what they're paying for, so it's not a problem, right? To me, it's not an issue. The other thing is, when you're building citations, you got to build them directly to the client's domain, not to your domain, or else you'll screw up the NAP, right? If you're listing your domain and the name, address, and phone number, the NAP, right? If you put your domain in there, then it's going to screw up the NAP data. So you can't do that either. You got to build citations directly to the client's domain. Does that make sense? So those are two examples or two instances where the switchbox strategy doesn't work. What I do with the switchbox strategy, where I clone the site, it's strictly for pages, not for posts, right? So it's the core of the site that gets cloned. And then everything is on a 1-to-1 ratio. So it's a page by page redirect to the client's site. And then I do external link building to that page. So you guys know that the majority of the SEO work that I do, or that, we the kind of SEO that we practice is we do mostly the IFTTT networks and then other tier one site links like citations and press releases and things like that. But the majority of external link building that we do, or inbound link building that we do, is to the tier one properties, not directly to the money site. So that's what I'll do with the 301 domain. That's my own domain. Is if I'm going to be doing additional external link building, which we do from time to time when it's needed, then I will do that to my domain that's 301 to the client's domain. And so in the event that the client decides that they don't need me anymore, I can lift the 301 or remove the 301 redirects from my domain. The client still gets to keep much of the SEO work that was done, because all the content marketing is going to benefit their site. All the citation work that you did is going to benefit their site. The only thing that you're going to end up recovering is any external inbound links that you built, right? That's going to be pointed to your domain. When you lift those redirects, it's going to remove them from the client's domain, and they're going to, still be pointed at your domain. So it doesn't mean that when you remove the redirects, your client's domain drops out of the index and yours replaces it. That's not the way it works. Chances are, if you've done everything right, the client's domain may see a little bit of a drop, but they'll probably still be strong anyways because of the content marketing, the citation building, everything else that you've done, right? The client's domain will probably still be strong. However, your domain now already has a bunch of SEO work done from any external link building already in place. So you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from a position, a well-placed position already, as far as how much SEO work has been done to your domain. Does that make sense? So it just gives you like a jump start on setting up a new site, because now you have a site that's already had SEO work done. Of course, you're going to have to go in and change some graphics. You probably have to reword the content somewhat, right? Change contact information, stuff like that from the clone site. Can't be a copy of the client site, obviously, when you revive it as your own, if that makes sense. But you can change all that stuff out, swap out some details, and then you can sell that site or lease that site to another provider, another contractor, another business in that same industry, in that same city, right? Or you can keep it as your own and use it as a lead gen site. That's what I do. That's typically what I will do. Is if I, and it's only happened a handful of times in my career, but I've done that where I've ended up turning the cloned site with some editing or some modification into a lead gen site, and that way it's my asset. And that's why I do that, guys, so that as I'm building up clients' assets, I'm at the same time building my own assets with no additional work on my part. Does that make sense? Okay. Well, hopefully that was clear, Dean. We're going to keep moving. We got a lot of questions to get through today. So Wayne's up next. He says, I outsourced the build for a tier 1 and tier 2 network for a client. The service provider set up a new Gmail account and used that for most of the Web 2.0 profiles. The client already had a Gmail account. Didn't we see this question last week? I swear to God, I saw this question already once and we answered it, but that's okay. We'll go through it again. The client already had a Gmail account for YouTube, Google+, Google My Business, and Blogger. Should I run the network as it has been built with the different Gmail address? Or should I rebuild the entire network, making sure there's only one Gmail account across the board? As of right now, I'm moving forward as is. Wayne. The service provider, I'm assuming this wasn't SerpSpace. But anyways, that said, let's see. Well, it's up to you. You're going to get more authority out of it, Wayne. I just had to read the question a couple times and process it. So you're going to get more authority out of it. It will be better if you swap out the Google accounts with the ones that you already had. It's a little bit of manual work on your part. I know that. Depending on the service provider. I know at SerpSpace, we will go in and make changes. We charge a service fee for it, but we'll have our builders. If we built the network for you, you can submit a support request and ask for it to be the network to be reworked a bit. If you explain that kind of stuff and provide the details, and we will do it. Now, if we didn't produce the network for you, if you bought it from another provider, don't send it to us and ask us to fix it, because we're not going to. But if you bought it from us, then I know that you can submit a support ticket and just pay a service fee. I don't know what that is off the top of my head. I think it's $20, but I could be wrong. to go back in and edit it and swap those profiles out, or those. So what I mean by that is YouTube, Google Plus, the GMB, and the Blogger. We can swap those out if the details are provided. All right. Again, we charge a service fee for that unless that was made up front when you ordered the network. And even then, I think we still charge a service fee for custom stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah, and
but
also real quick, just something to say, because I saw a couple of support tickets about this, and people were like, hey, why should we buy networks via server space? And I'm not going to say that we never make mistakes. Obviously, it's a human process, but our quality is very high, and if there are mistakes, like, they get fixed. And that's just one of the reasons why buying through server space makes sense. I mean, it's the process that Bradley developed, and we ported that over so that other people could take advantage of that. So I just want to put that out there too, since there are questions people just ask, like, and fairly so, like, why should we buy, through server space?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Oh, one of the things that I was going to say is that we have the experience. We've been doing this for years and years and years. We have it down to a process. And if we get it wrong, we do what we have to fix it. Now, if it's something like this, where I don't see any wrong in this, it's just that he wants the client's Gmail account to be the one that's triggering everything and in charge of everything, we do go in and fix it. And we charge a minimal fee of $20. I mean, come on. It's like, yeah, sure, go get it fixed. But I mean, that's what sets us apart. Why should you buy from us? We're the originators, guys. We do it right.
Yeah, and it's 100% manual, guys. These are completely hand built. Everything that we do in SerpSpace is 100% as far as the network building, 100% hand built. There's no automation involved whatsoever. And so because of that, they're stronger. They stick longer for the most part, unless you're doing some really nasty spammy stuff. And then also it in case something goes wrong or you have a custom request like this, it's easier because it just gets routed it just gets routed back to the original builder. So they're already familiar with the project because they built it, and they can go in and make those changes very, very quickly, right? Otherwise, the only other thing, Wayne, is, again, if it's another service provider, they probably won't do that for you, but you can do it on your own. To do something like that on your own, it would take you probably about an hour. And so depending on which, how much you think your time is worth, if you have, like, again, if you had bought it from SerpSpace and asked us to fix it, then, if it's a small nominal fee, and in my opinion, it's definitely worth the money, because if it takes you an hour, that's, I think an hour is better spent doing something else. But it is kind of a pain in the ass, because you'd have to go in and not only update the applets inside of IFTTT, but you got to go through all of the properties that are interlinked, if they're interlinked properly, and swap the URLs out, if that makes sense. Okay, so again, a little bit of a pain in the ass, but it can be done manually. It'd probably take you about an hour, or you could ask your service provider. Chances are they're going to deny that, but you could always ask. I think it's going to be stronger if you swap those out. You can proceed the way that it is, but just know that you're not going to be pushing authority into that one profile or brand account as much as you would if you were using the actual client accounts that were set up originally. Okay. Okay, Assie's up, says, hi, I was watching your explanation about PBNs and IPN hosting, or excuse me, an IP hosting. If I need a class IP for each PBN, why shouldn't I host all my PBNs in one VSP? Okay. He must be in VPS. And use services of Cloudflare like 100 unique IPs and name servers. It would be nice if you would tell me if it's any good. Well, you can. There's just, okay, here's the thing. With Cloudflare, there's a block of IPs. So I don't know that it's 100. You can actually search that in Google and it will show you. Let's take a look at that real quick. But what I would suggest is using multiple third-party DNS services, so you're not just using one. So if you look at IP ranges, so go to cloudflare.com IPs, guys. Here's the IP ranges. Okay, so that's what you got, right? And these are ranges here, so you can see 0 to 20. So, right, so there's like 20 IPs, but those are what, class D, right? So that you get, these are all on the same, the only thing that's unique is the last part of, what do they call that, subnet or whatever. So my point is you do have a good list of IPs, but what I would recommend doing, because we've done that too. I mean, like, for example, in the mastermind, we talked about hybrid PBNs. I can't get into the details of that, but hybrid PBNs are where you buy an expired domain, right? You build a PBN on the site, on the root domain, and then you build a bunch of subdomains, and you can host the subdomains on various IPs, right? You don't remember, guys, you can create subdomains and map them using third-party DNS services to other IPs. They don't have to be on the same IP as the root domain. And so we talked about using various sources for, you could use Amazon S3, you could use other cloud storage accounts to host HTML files, you could do other hosting accounts, you could do all of that and map the IPs so that you have multiple IPs for a PBN cluster that's built off one domain with a bunch of subdomains all having unique IPs. Does that make sense? The way that you can do that is using multiple third-party DNS services. My two preferred ones are Cloudflare and Amazon Route 53, okay? And they will give you a range of IPs, and you can do what you're mentioning. But I recommend using just more than just one, like more than just Cloudflare is my point, okay?
And if I could just add, I hate this word PBN, because it's not really PBN. What he's doing is he's probably buying either expired domains or domains with metrics, resurrecting them, setting it up, and then driving a link from that to whatever the destination is. And that's not the definition of a PBN, because a PBN is a set of websites that are linked to each other, right, and built for the sole purpose of providing a link. You had big PBN networks taken down where you'd go in and you could get your URL, in multiple. It depended on how much you paid, and what the tests are showing right now is that a lot of these domains that you guys are buying, especially if they're expired, if you don't do your due diligence and if you don't look carefully at the backlink profile, all you're going to do when you link over from that PBN to the destination is you're going to tank the rankings of the destination website. Remember, I'm warning you. I'm telling you what's happening. I'm not telling you from what I heard. I'm telling you from what I tested and what I know.
Yeah. Now, what about, though, as far as using them as like second or third tier links to power up first or second tiers?
Well, that's what we would do, but right. First we set those. We don't just have a website sitting there for the sole purpose of setting up or sending a link. We'll add inner pages. We will. I don't know if I should tell all our strategy, but IFTTT, some content marketing on the blog, so that even the blog starts bringing in the so-called PBN starts drawing traffic, starts making you money, and becomes way stronger than something just sitting there providing a link. Yeah. And seriously, it's tested, and it's what's happening. I'm not saying PBNs are dead, but they're a dying breed. You better get it right.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I stopped building PBNs months ago, probably a little over a year ago, because what I'd been doing, and I don't even do this much anymore, but was buying, expired domains using blue chip backlinks to find them, scrape them, and then buying them, and then just rebuilding the old site with HTML downloaded from Wayback Machine or archive.org, and then just hack my link into the page, and that's it. And the reason I like doing that is because they used to be real sites, right? And that way they look like real sites still. And I don't have to worry about content marketing and all that other shit. Because remember, guys, you buy a brand new domain or an expired domain, and you go and you build a WordPress blog on it with new content and all that other. Even if it's in the same topical category that the old site was in, it's still a new domain. It's a new WordPress site. So it's going to look like a PBN unless you really build it out to look like a real business website. What I like about rebuilding old sites is that they look like real business websites because they were real business websites, and I don't have to worry about any of that stuff, right? I don't have to worry about content and then siloing the site properly and adding all the social profiles and all that crap. I don't have to do all that. But even now, I don't even do that very much anymore because we're able to get results not doing it, not having to do it as much. But anyways,
and that's without bringing up the fact that you're linking probably from a sandbox domain over to your money site. Yep. If you don't know how to get that so-called PBN out of the sandbox quick enough.
As far as this, I see looking at the IP, like Rocket IPs, I mean, the price looks good. It's actually a really good price for IPs. The problem that I have with using any sort of providers like these is that they overload the hell out of their IP blocks so that they end up with hundreds of sites on shared IPs. And because it's SEO hosting, right? It's a ton of spammers that have just got a bunch of spammy sites hosted on these IPs, right? And so you end up sharing you put your sites in what they call bad neighborhoods. And all that's going to do is basically cause bad footprint issues, because links coming and that's pretty common, guys. And that's over the last couple of years, that's become more and more of a negative factor, right? That's why we always recommend, guys, for your money sites, especially, that you go out with you go pay for good hosting. And we've been saying that for years, because you don't want money sites being hosted in bad neighborhoods. And all it takes to be in a bad neighborhood is to have a few really spammy sites in the same IP block. And that's one of the problems with shared hosting, right? Especially cheap shared hosting. And so these type of SEO hosts here, they literally way overstuff the IPs, way past capacity. And the reason they do it is because they realize that the majority of those sites are used specifically for SEO purposes and don't generate any traffic. They're just websites sitting out there on the web, right? For the purpose of a backlink. And because of that, for the most part, most of the vast majority of sites on the shared IPs don't receive any traffic, which means there's very little bandwidth usage. So they can overload the hell out of these IPs, right? But then what happens is if any one of those sites or a number of those sites in that IP block end up receiving traffic for whatever reason, maybe the bots come crawling like crazy on a handful of sites, or maybe somebody actually strikes it lucky with a promotional campaign or something, who knows. If any amount of bandwidth, like if a number of those sites start to receive traffic, it can end up tanking the whole entire block, right? So all of the sites go down. And that's another common thing you'll see with IP or SEO hosting, is that your sites, especially if you put an uptime monitor on them, like a UpRobot or something like that, that will notify you of when the sites go down, you'll get hammered with notifications about how often your sites go down. And it's because, again, the IP blocks are way overloaded. So I don't recommend it. What your actual question about using a VPS and using Cloudflare and various DNS services is a better way to go, in my opinion, than IP hosting or SEO hosting. And the reason why is because if it's a VPS, you're going to have essentially dedicated bandwidth for that, right? That's for your particular VPS. And so you'll have a lot more control over that and a lot less chance of your sites going down. Okay. But make sure that if you're going to do that, you got to get your SOA records. Like you got to, your name servers, your SOA records, all that kind of stuff. You have to be real careful about setting all that up, Assy. Okay, Tim's up next. He says, and yes, I'm the real Vasquez. So Hernan, he's saying that he's the real Vasquez.
Oh man, good day too. Hernan's not here to refute
defend himself.
Yeah.
Is it okay to have 2 or more IFTTT accounts directing traffic to a website? Thanks as always. Yeah, Tim, absolutely. You can have as many as you want. You just got to consider the consequences of what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, it's absolutely fine to do that. It just depends on what you're trying to do. Like for a money site, I recommend always to just stick with, for a tier 1 network, a branded tier 1 network only. If you're doing blog syndication, if you're doing YouTube syndication, you can stack as many networks as you want. It makes no difference. With YouTube as the trigger, it makes no difference. But with money sites, I recommend only doing a tier 1 branded network, only because that makes sense. That's normal for people to share, for a business to share its content to its own network of Web 2.0 and social media accounts, right? That's normal. That's logical. It's expected. But when you start sharing the same content to like persona accounts, for example, and the persona accounts, the only thing that they have on them is content coming from one source, then that is clearly used for SEO manipulation. And there's no way. I mean, it's like you can smell that from a mile away. You know what I mean? And so my point is, you don't want to do that because that's a footprint issue. So it just depends on what you're doing. There are instances where that makes absolute sense. Somebody was asking a few weeks ago on a Hump Day Hangout about having a multiple author blog and wanting to set up a separate syndication network for each author. And was that okay? And yes, that's perfectly fine. But what I would, because you have a branded network around the main blog, right? Then you have if you have, let's say, 4 authors, would you want 4 separate persona-based, or maybe they're real authors, they're still personas, right? So persona-based network rings with the same content. Yeah, that makes sense to do so, because an author will share their own content no matter where it's published to. They'll share it to their own social media accounts most of the time for traffic generation and to show off their work and that kind of stuff. So that's logical as well. But they probably wouldn't be posting across their own personal social accounts all of the content from that site if there's other authors too, right? They'd just be posting their own content. So in that particular case, using the author feed, which you can get from WordPress, using the author feed to trigger those persona-based networks is the way to go. That way, the persona-based networks are being triggered by the author's content only. The branded network gets triggered by all content published on the site, but the persona or the author-based networks would only get triggered by the author content alone. Does that make sense? So again, just got to consider what you're doing and think about it. Does it seem logical? Does it seem natural? Or does it seem spammy? If it seems spammy, don't do it. If it seems logical, or you can make it to where it's logical, and don't justify it, make it, it's got to be like, in my opinion, it would be like if somebody were to review this, would they come to the conclusion immediately that you're spamming, or would they have to do some more investigation to determine that, right? Okay. Next, Earl says, basic one-on-one question. How many links is too many links in a blog post? Client with multiple networks he wants to rank for. Client with multiple, keywords that he wants to rank for, 40 to 50 or more. A good brezzy blog post can easily include 5 or 6 more keywords that matter to him without being stuffed or forced. Can we link each keyword phrase, just one plus a domain URL, or go overboard and link more, averaging just 1 post a week or less? I do not want to increase that velocity. And since we have so many keywords, should we also make them tags, whether or not we link them? All right, Earl, that the main thing that I would see here with this is how are this 40 or 50 more keywords, you want to silo that site, right? You're talking about a lot of different keywords that this site wants to rank for. So because of that, you're going to want to add silo structure or build silo structure into the site. And so that's going to determine how you have your site siloed, compartmentalized, right? How you have it siloed is going to determine your internal linking structure from within the post. So in other words, you got to place the post within the proper categories or proper silos within the site. And you don't want to cross-link from one silo to another. For navigational purposes, it makes sense to do so, guys. Like if you're optimizing for the visitor, for the user, human optimization, right? Then it makes sense to link cross-silo links, right? It makes sense to do that, but I always recommend that you do that with a no-follow link so that you're not bleeding the theme of the silo. But as far as pushing internal juice, right? So what they call page rank sculpting, or I guess we call it equity sculpting or juice sculpting now, right? You would want to use your do follow internal linking structure, internal links to only link within the same silo. So again, when you're trying to rank, if you're trying to rank a site for 40 or 50 more keywords as a flat site, which means no silo structure whatsoever, that's going to be messy anyways. Right? So I recommend that you would silo this site out, and then depending on how you have your supporting articles stacked within the silos is going to determine how you're going to do your internal links. And that's going to cut way, way down on it, because you're not going to link from one silo to another unless you're doing it for navigational purposes, in which case you use a no-follow link, and that doesn't really affect SEO anyways. Does that make sense? So as far as if there is a number of how many, I don't know what that number is. I know that there is a law of diminishing returns that applies to internal links within a page or a post, but I don't know what the threshold is where it really starts to have a negative effect, or at least not have a positive effect, or like a neutral effect. I'm not sure what that threshold is. Marco, do you have any insight on that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, and the only reason why I don't know what that threshold is I've never tested it, because typically the posts, pages and posts on a site that I'm working on don't have any more than 2 or 3 internal links anyways. It's very rare that there's more than that. And that's just because that's just the way that the sites are siloed out. Okay. But you could play with it, Earl. I recommend that you build silo structure into that site, and then you can start playing with, once you have structure in place, you can start playing with posts and link number of links within the post. And then you'll be able to determine if you're tracking your keywords and you have your site siloed properly, then let's say in silo 1, you do 3 internal links from a post within the same silo. And then over at silo 2, in another post, you do like 12 internal links, and measure the kind of results that you see with your rank positioning. Because if you see that one has a significant improvement over another, then you know that like you can start to through a process of elimination, determine what's working and what doesn't. I mean, that's all we do, guys, is we just set up tests all the damn time, right? All right, cool. That's an awful picture, Wayne. Thanks.
That is really disturbing.
All right, Adam says we got about 5 minutes. We got masterclass webinar after this, guys, by the way. So anybody in the masterclass, be ready for that. Okay, hi guys, I'm curious if you have noticed changes on YouTube. I've been experiencing a lot of weird stuff, from having to unlock the account for suspicious activity, and all I did was upload a video, to a bunch of my channels being disconnected from IFTTT and have to go in and reconnect them. One last thing is I noticed from YouTube, is there no more annotations after May 2? Yes, Paul. Now, first of all, I have seen some, it's kind of odd. I've been spending like 10 and 12 hours a day on YouTube for the last 4 or 5 days for real. I'm doing a lot of YouTube SEO work right now. And I've noticed it's interesting, but like if you log in to a brand new account, the interface is completely different than what we're used to seeing. Like even from this, it's different. It's way different. And it's weird because I only get that on like new accounts, existing accounts. I'm not seeing that yet. So it could have something to do with that. It's just the changes going on in the background. I suspect that's probably the problems that you're having, Paul. So if Paul is experiencing these problems now, guys, just be aware that it's probably coming down the pike. We're probably all going to start experiencing them as well. And all we can do is just roll with the punches, right? That's all we can do. Yes, annotations are going to be deprecated, guys. They're discontinuing annotations after May 2. It's going to be end screens and cards only. Okay. So, all right, we got enough time for a couple more. Tim says, my dumb earlier question, let me clarify. How can I have 2 or more IFTTT wheels? I guess I should have said, and this may be just as dumb, 2 or more wheels on different accounts, all pushing the same money site homepage, or break it up to other pages on the site. Yeah, okay, well, I just explained that, Tim, so hopefully that makes some sense. You know, like I said, what I would recommend that you do is if you're going to build another tier 1 network that's not branded, obviously it wouldn't be branded. You don't want 2 branded networks for the same site. That wouldn't make sense. But if you had a second, like a persona-based network that you want to use as a tier 1 network, you can get away with it, but you better be posting other content to that besides the main site. You better be posting content from related content sources to that network so that you're burying the content from your money site among a bunch of other content that's related and relevant, right? So set it up as if it were a second tier blog syndication network. You can do that. I don't recommend it, but you can do it. All right, Ken's up next. He says, I have a question about using anchor text when it comes to my citation sites. So if I'm sending links to my Yelp page, do I still need to follow the rule of using a majority of generic keywords as anchor text? Well, here's the thing, Ken. It's a Yelp page, so it can withstand a hell of a lot more spam because of the just the authority of the site. But yeah, I recommend that you still keep your anchor text ratio like you would as if you were building links direct to your money site, because you don't want to spam it to death. You can go a little bit heavier on it because it can withstand it. There's no doubt. But I would still try to keep the ratio relatively close to what you would be doing if you were building links directly to your money site. Okay. And then also, guys, remember your Yelp page, depending on, at least there used to be, I don't know now. It's been a while since I've checked, but it used to be once you verified the Yelp page, the link like became a verified Yelp business, then the link would become a do follow link from Yelp. I don't know if they stopped that. It's been a while since I've set up a new Yelp listing because now I outsource all that. But it used to be when you would, so if it was a verified business listing, it would turn to a do follow link from Yelp. But if it was unverified, it would be no follow. They might all be no follow now. I would suspect they most likely are. But keep that in mind, because remember, no follow links don't pass anchor ratios. So you can go more aggressive with Yelp and you don't have to worry about it affecting your money site negatively. But I would still try to keep it in so that it's a natural looking backlink profile. Even if your velocity is completely unnatural, I would still want to keep the anchor text ratio somewhat natural looking, so it's not 100% pure spam. Okay. All right, Adam's yelling at me, so I got to get off, guys. What kinds of links are you sending to citation sites since they would be considered tier 1 sites? The same that we always do, Ken, which is using contextual links of higher quality for tier 1 to the tier 1 sites. In other words, your tier 2 links, which are pointing to tier 1, use contextual, higher quality links from higher quality sites if possible, and then you can throw kitchen sink spam behind those if you want. But Marco's even seeing through his testing in the lab more and more. Google's looking further and further out now at backlinks. So I would be cautious in throwing any kind of kitchen sink spam at all now. Okay. All right, guys. Sorry about the rest of the questions. Didn't get an answer. A lot of really good ones today, though. So appreciate everybody being here. By the way, don't forget rant.semanticmastery.com. Go there to post content ideas for us for the live streams. And I think that's it.
Yeah. Hint, everybody. Well, one, sign up for the webinar if you want to find out about Library Sniper, and also we have these pages usually set up by Friday at the very latest. So it's like we said, first come, first serve. And if we get too many questions, obviously we run out of time. But so post your questions early, and we try to answer them.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. We'll see Mastermind members in about 10 minutes. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.